to record. Okay, we're recording. So everybody who's coming in, welcome, welcome. Do you want to write your names, just because we can't, because this is webinar and we can only see ourselves, Kat and I, and not, on the live calls, when we do them in the course, we get to see everybody as you do on the Zoom room. So I would love to know where you're from. So if you write in the chat box on the side, Astrid, yay, hi Astrid. Astrid, I saw your questions too, so we've got that, and we will address some of them, / I'll email you as well. So hello Astrid for the Netherlands. And PS, oddly enough, or is it odd, I don't know, but we already have like 3 people from the Netherlands this year. I think we had one wonderful person from the Netherlands in our course last year, and now this year we have 3. So Astrid, you won't be alone if you join us. We've got a cool Dutch contingent growing. So I love that. Kate from Ireland, yay, hi Kate. Jen from Glasgow, Scotland, awesome. Stuttgart, Germany, V Gates, there, Kimberly. Bonjour, oh no, see, Emily, with your French last name, I was about to say bonjour, and I'm not sure if you actually speak French because you're in Maine, but you have your French last name, so bonjour, just in case. Martina, hello, from Reading, awesome. And Krista, oh yeah, so because Krista, you're in the Netherlands too, right? Yeah, so oddly, I don't know, cool, I think that's cool. I love the Netherlands, so yeah, and we, oh yeah, okay, cool, yeah, you are. Awesome, because we do try to do little, and we'll talk about this more as we progress into this conversation about the training, but we try to have like connect people as well. So if there are people within your vicinity, you know, so our Dutch crew can meet each other, because I know it's not a huge country. You can travel, though this is the world. And anyways, okay, so beautiful. And Annalisa, awesome, from Jacksonville. Wonderful to have you here. I think it's really, just to be honest, I didn't know if anybody was going to ever show up and sign up for this. You know, Kat and I thought, let's do a webinar and ask people's questions, ask people or answer their questions. But, you know, where this is not one of the usual types of webinars. This isn't like an educational webinar. It's just more of an information webinar. I just was like, I don't know, is anybody going to sign up? So I just think it's cool that we have 15 people signed up. I think we had 35 signed up in total. So anyways, that's cool. So hooray. So I'm now, and we're at the time, we're 1 minute past the hour. So let's make this official. As we know, hopefully, probably, maybe, I'm Bree. And Kat, do you want to say hello?
Hi, I'm Kat.
Let me put us on gallery view. There we go. Yay. So Kat and I are old friends that have known each other for almost 20 years-ish, maybe. Yeah. And I've been running the teacher training for the last couple years. This is our 3rd installment of the teacher training. And the way I guess we can work, we didn't get a lot of specific, it's nice to have people sign up, but we didn't actually get a lot of specific questions for anybody. So those of you who are attending this live, please do not be shy to, I know there's like a little Q&A button at the bottom, you can use that, but I actually have found it easier to use the chat box. And if you have a question, feel free to, because again, this isn't a Zoom, so we can't have a conversation. We should have done it as Zoom, I don't know. Anyway, put in your question and write the word question in capital letters, just so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. So if you have a specific question at any point, whatever we're saying, don't be shy, we'll come back and answer it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the training. Oh good, Karen, yay, you've got questions from, yeah, awesome. Okay, good, yay. So keep writing those down. We will get to those in a moment. Yeah, so quick background. Yeah, so Kat and I have been teaching this. We're both teachers. I got certified in 2003. You were certified
2000, and then yeah, a few after that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kat is also a Pilates instructor and a mindfulness. Well, here, you introduce yourself. Why don't you? I won't speak for you.
Hey, it is kind of strange not being able to see your faces. I'm so used to Zoom, and yeah, so I feel like I'm talking to Bree, which is lovely, don't get me wrong, but so hello for all my people I can't see. Yeah, my original yoga certification was in 2000, and then since then have like many of us, continue to add on a few things along the way, both yoga, actual yoga certifications, and then Pilates. And I have been practicing my meditation along that as well.
Kat's very, oh, what?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say Kat is also very humble and won't mention necessarily of all her she's done. She doesn't just meditate and practice. She's been a very deep practitioner of mindfulness and meditation and has spent multiple months in silence in Burma and in various retreats in the States and stuff, working with Joseph Goldstein. And so Kat's got quite a wealth of experience and compassion, and is a really great way of sharing mindfulness in a really accessible, beautiful way. And what I love about you, Kat, is that not just the mindfulness and your deep experience. And as a friend, I get to benefit from it too. So I really love that, selfishly. But as a co-teacher and co-facilitator, it's really wonderful. But Kat also has a really huge amount of body knowledge and experience. So you've got the mind body down pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun to work with your best friend, really, whenever, so, and very passionate about sharing movement and changing the world. I think that's where I'm at right now.
Mm.
Always like that, I think, wanting to enhance our world. And we're definitely in a very interesting story globally. And so as we're part of this new story, how really movement and meditation and conscious living can support our global community. So
Yeah.
here we
That's
are.
actually, yeah, no, I think, in Kat, you saying that, I think that's a really good segue into the context of doing a training like this right now, and what sometimes we call this course like you come and do this yoga teacher training course, but it's really come and do this like human being training course where we get to, even though it's online, and now this year it's going to be 100% online, but we are in community, and it's so based on good, healthy, sustainable movement and learning about that, but that's not the be all and end all. And it's really about how do we content, like, and especially this year, even more so, contextualizing the yoga practice in the modern world. It's very specific why we called this course the Modern Yoga Teacher Training Course. So it's not just modern yoga and exercise science and learning good movement, but it's like, where are we in the world right now? How do we navigate these times? How do we help other people navigate these times with kindness and ease and justice and awareness and action and change and in community? And it's really important. And so I think in a lot of ways, I find those who come to the training, they think they start coming to it for, I want to learn how to help my students and if they're low back problems and like little details like that, and they end up leaving with this like deeper, strong awareness of like the sense of self and our self in this world and that interconnection of it. So, and that's really our big goal. So yes, we'll talk about the shoulders. Yes, we'll nerd out on the core, but really Kat and I are like, but let's talk about how we can change our minds, hearts, and social, social, social things. So
Mm-hmm.
anything you want to add on that?
I think one thing I've been reflecting on, just a bit of a segue from what Bree said, is that it seems to me, in my little humble opinion, that we're having a macro structure fall, whatever that might mean. And I think globally our world is experiencing a lot of upheaval, economically, health, global crisis, racism. And so structures are being torn down or definitely imbalanced. And then all of us as conscious beings, it seems to me, I'm kind of looking at this like, wow, I really believed in that structure. I didn't know I believed in it, but I did, or I was part of it. And so then as this macro was falling, I think also within us, the micro is like starting also to reprocess and recalibrate within the macro, so that it feels like a very, very unique time that we're in. As global citizens, and what this might mean for our human being as a species. And then with that upheaval externally, it can't help, at least in my heart and mind, to have an upheaval internally. And then there's movement, and then there's the river, and then there's the sunset, and then there's a cat that needs to be fed, or then there's a little furry, not only your little furry friend, your little people that need to be outside and play. And so I find it really interesting that really what I'm coming back to is these ancient wisdom teachings like the breath and moving with really strong alignment and awareness and how that cools the nervous system. And it's just like, okay, a little bit of subtle movement, a little bit of refined movement. Okay, and then let's see what's going on. This is my cell phone. So to me, it's like we're asked even more to really weave these ancient wisdom teachings in these modern day times and show up really, and not. I was going to say not throw away the ancient wisdom teachings, bring them forward even more
Mm.
in an adapted way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's big, and because we know in these, and it's funny because in some ways the world's always been changing. There's always been unrest and upheaval, and it's, but once we moved into this once that upheaval has really come more clear in some ways in the Western world, um, it hits home for a lot more people, and I think these teachings are so important, and that anchor. Right. So in the midst of change, what do we do and how do we move through it? Literally, how do we move through it in our bodies and nervous systems? And how do we move through it in our mind and heart? And yeah, and just knowing, and I think it's for me, even as a facilitator, I don't know about you, Kat, like even just helping to facilitate these courses, it's such an anchor because we know we've got this community of people from around the world that are real and raw and showing up in this training and showing up in their communities and in their families, and we're all doing this together, this inner work and outer work, and how do we navigate that? And that's the part that I really love and feel empowered and excited by is, okay, like just we're here trying to figure it all out together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big part of it too, actually, is and that's a big intention for Kat and I with these courses is, yes, we're facilitating, and yes, we've got things to teach, but we really, so talk a little bit more about some of the foundation principles that we want to and have been bringing into the training is really non-hierarchical teaching. So yes, Kat and I will lead some things, but we really, and it happens through the screen too. It's kind of fascinating to see that non-hierarchical teaching can still show up in the screen where when we have these Zoom conversations, that there's space for that. And this year we're going to be doing like the Zoom breakout rooms. I was scared to use them before. I was nervous, and every time it's like, we're going to do Zoom breakout rooms, but I had this technology phobia. So this year I get it. I think it will make more sense. And so we're going to have more opportunity for each other to talk and learn and grow and have that space. So it's more what I could like to call like open source yoga, right? So we get to have this information, and then each other can build on it, and we can learn and grow from that. And so non-hierarchical teaching, one of the other first things that we like to teach is there are no mistakes. So we've recognized, and so the word that I've been using that really sums this all up is decolonizing the learning process. And this will be talked about a little bit in the course. But I'm sure I'm going to make assumptions that many of us went to regular school, whatever regular school is, and we were tested and we were measured and we had to perform and we had to memorize and get graded on this system that really didn't always necessarily encourage critical thinking. It didn't always necessarily encourage creativity. And so much of our intention with creating this course a couple of years ago was like, let's dismantle that. I don't want to reinforce the sense of performance, because this is not the point of yoga and this is not the point of teaching. So in this course, one of the first things we say and teach is there are no mistakes. So don't be afraid to mess up. Yes, we can make mistakes, sure, but it's like what we see mistakes as opportunities for learning. So then that offers creating that sense of vulnerability, vulnerability to show up and say something wrong, the vulnerability to show up and not be perfect and not be good. And then of course there's the yoga where we get to have that extra mindset of like, oh, there's an old pattern of perfectionism. Why do I have that? Da, da, da. So we get to have that opportunity for this layers of learning and that beautiful growth around that. Anything else that you'd want to add on that, Kat? No mistakes. And
I even like breaking down the word mistake. And so it's like a mistake, like we're looking at something with a view, with a perception. And one thing that we notice a lot when we're in the role of facilitator is kind of the imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. And I really want to come back to that's because we all care. Like we love what we're doing and we want to show up with the most knowledge and support all these different bodies in our room. Um, but then it's as though this mistaken view of that I don't know enough. Like we forget just how much we care, and that we probably are doing. One of my meditation teachers says this all the time. We're doing way better than we think. You know more than you think you know. And so this whole way of truly, to me, what yoga is, or in our meditation, it's liberation. It's seeing more clearly. It's breaking down these views, and so challenging in a way our mistaken view of who we are as a facilitator or as a parent, or or if we identify as females, as a mother or as a partner. And so just really like breaking down the views, I think, is so essential in this course. And even on a personal level, I'm in a training right now, a Pilates training, and breaking down my view of, I was given homework, everybody, the other day. Okay, I just learned something. Okay, so here's a little like, this is how cat rambles, okay? So if you have a healthy, we'll just say arm, take 600 reps, get this stronger, more biomechanically sound. You have a little bit of compromised opportunity there, so you go to rehab, 3,000 reps you gotta do. So my teacher lovingly said, okay, Kat, let's do this. Like, you can do this because I have some opportunity in my hip flexors, we'll say. And I'm like, nope, I can't do it. And literally, I walked out of the door and said no. And then I got an email and he broke it down for me saying, well, what if you just did 100 a day? And then 100 the next day. And you broke it down like this. And so I got to see my own stubborn view, like, I can't do 3,000 reps. Why would I even want to rehab it? I really kind of like that my hip flexors don't work well. No, I'm kidding. But like all of us are constantly learning and growing. And I think that's the biggest thing about that. There are no mistakes. Like I was given I got shut down, we'll just say. And then I was given a different opportunity. And I haven't done 100 a day, but I've done homework every day. Because there's this willingness to step up and to challenge. And that's, I hope, kind of what Bree and I are offering. A non-hierarchical way. Like you don't do it the way you were teaching, but maybe we present this in a way that you're like, okay, yeah, maybe I can check that out. Maybe I'm curious about that. Or a willingness to open up to, yes, refine movement and more precision, I think, as us as human beings. But then really challenging those mistaken views of reality that I think a lot of us live in. I don't know about
And no
you.
matter what, well, I love that example though, because it's like, again, you've been teaching for 20 years and it's like, in some ways it's like, I know this. And I love that you as a person anyways, also continue to take courses and learning and myself as well. Like this is, we're still consummate students, but I just love that whole, like, because I know for me in some ways I'd have an ego moment where I'd be like, I've been doing that. I'm like, what do you mean? No, I teach this stuff. And then it's like, okay, fine, you're right. And like, and so it's a good, humble, I think, awakening of that. And just that knowing that we're always learning. Hence, there are no mistakes. And there's always opportunities. And it's having that open curiosity to learn about ourselves. And again, these are some of the foundations of the course that we really want to, I was going to say hammer in, which is kind of like we're not going to hammer anything into you, but only with love, but just reinforce lovingly of just like, we're all in this learning process. This course will change your life and it won't change your life. Where it's like, and that's the other thing we kind of say about that. It's like how much you put into it is how much you're going to get out of it. And I think those are some of the things a little bit about online learning that scares people. It's like, how will I be focused on this? Like, will I get distracted? And then that also gives that sense of pressure that some people might have. This is what we've learned in the past, that some people like, oh, I'm so behind. I haven't done the lessons and the courses. And we'll get these emails from someone and we're like, but you're not behind. There's no such thing. This is a part of our decolonizing of this educational experience, is that there's no behind. Because life happens. You're probably behind because you were tired and doing 5 million other things and responsibilities, and the sun is now blocked there. And so it's like, that's again what we want to reinforce. You have this course for the rest of your life. You're allowed to join us in future courses. So our previous students from the last couple of years can come into this one, and then the next ones. the information is downloadable. It's like learning is not linear. Learning happens on its own pace. We really, again, so it's like you can't make a mistake. You can't be behind in our opinion. We want you to show up. So one of the big things that we also reinforce to everybody is, like, you're not behind if you're still there, right? If you're still engaged in the course and in self-awareness at some level. You're behind if you've just totally like given up and been like, nah, I'm done. I can't do this. And but guess what? You can join the next year. So it's like, this is kind of like that this is what I love about online learning, is that it's like, okay, I thought I could commit to this year. Life happened, but I'm going to do it next year. And we've had people do that in the course as well. So I don't know. I hope this is starting to give people kind of more of a perspective of how the course is in our view, and that real deep intention from our hearts of loving support and recalibrating the learning experience and recalibrating ourselves. And it's just, I don't know, it's just ongoing. And we truly, and so in light of that too, we truly love and support our community after graduation as well. So it's like, once you're in the heart and bones world, you're in for life. Should you choose to be, right? Like, we really truly want to support and continue to nurture our community for as long as possible, because this is part of the change for ourselves and each other. No one can do our work for us, but we don't need to do it alone. Right? So yeah. Okay, so Kat, anything else on that? And please ask questions, because this is, again, if we were in a room of each other, we could see your faces smiling or looking confused. So we're just kind of going on what we think people want to hear, but this is you signed up for this. So I know you have questions and wanting more information. So please, if something pops into your mind, you can't ask a wrong question. We're here for you. This is like a little mini glimpse of a live call, and the sun is now kind of blocking the thing. Okay, so Kat, you continue. Is there?
Yeah, I just think on that, it's true. The effort you put in is the effort that you're going to get out of the course. And that personal share that just happened with me, with Steve, my Pilates teacher, was a way, kind of a sobering moment, a humbling moment that, okay, I could do this. I do have 10 minutes a day broken up that I could probably give 100 reps. And over the course of the month, maybe see change in a compensation pattern. And so that we will give somewhat like within the live calls, and there will be homework opportunity to journal, but we're not going to be like, checking all of you. So is your homework done? You have to hand it in. And so that in your own way that you get to check in with yourself. Like, you're like, whatever, I'm not keeping a journal. If you'd be like me, reactive. And then sit on it for a day and be like, oh, like maybe that is a cool suggestion. And so that we're wanting to give a lot of spaciousness so that all of you get the opportunity, to have your rhythm of learning, but there will be some deadlines. And yet there's going to be opportunity for spaciousness. But there will be, okay, this live call. Oh, and then there's more spaciousness. Okay, we have to teach on this live call. So it still is a certification program, but we're hoping that big part of yoga and meditation is spaciousness. And so that we're offering you spaciousness and then refinement. And then, so true yoga, we expand and we contract. I just wanted to reiterate that yes, it is up to you, your learning experience, but there is a little bit of stuff. We're going to like nudge you along the way. So it's wonderful to see. And like I say, it's a silvery moment every time I see my own reactivity. It's like, oh dear Kat, I can't believe you just walked out and closed the door, like incorrigible. No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So
and
here we are.
No surprise to yourself either, because when you were saying that about the 500 reps or something, but like how many of the same, when you're in your silent retreats or just that like daily mindfulness, like that's all reps of the mind too. Like, oh, there's resistance. Oh, resistance again and resistance again. And so just, I love that correlation of of the reps. Yeah, and thank you for reframing that, or clarifying that a little bit too, Kat, of the spaciousness. Yep. I like to think, so one of our pillars, if some of you might be have done some other stuff with me where we do, and I've talked about like the 4 pillars of a sustainable yoga practice, and one of the pillars is boundaries. And we talk about boundaries in movement, and we talk about boundaries in life. And I think this is a good way, like, so for us as teachers facilitating this is we offer a boundary of suggested timeline and commitment, and we want you to show up and be a part of this and work in your own way. That's the boundary. But as Kat was saying, yeah, the spaciousness within that boundary, right? And the freedom to shift the boundary a little bit if you need to in your life. So we don't, I think our first year, I know for me, my personality is more like, be free, don't worry, like it's your own path. And then what we learned from that was that some people were like, actually, I want to, even though we gave a schedule, but it was like, be free, da, da, da. And I think some people are like, actually, we want more of a schedule, like we want more accountability. So we've learned in our process of this. So actually, if you're coming to the training this year, it's the best year yet because you're learning from all the things. That's sun. But yeah, so it's just that kind of like that I like what you said, Kat, with the spaciousness and then refinement, spaciousness and refinement. And there's a through line there. There's a through line as with the course, there's a through line for you as the student to show up, participate, and participating shows up in different ways and at different times. And we want to support that. And yet we still want to lovingly hold you to it. You know, I think it's in my kind of my way, it sometimes is, we're all adults. You know, we can do this, and yet it is nice to be accountable in some ways. So let's pop into some of the questions and then continue on here. So Kimberly says, question, I'm wondering if there's a general so there's, speaking of schedule, perfect timing. I'm wondering if there's a general schedule in which we review certain topics, videos during the live chats, or is it completely free form? I was a bit confused if we would be able to talk about the same topics together on the schedule. Yeah, so this year, because we're moving it on, so normally if everybody didn't already know, the course was mainly online with 5-day immersions in different places in the world. And because this is, you know, the world, and here we are in COVID and blah, 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 it's all online. And so last year's, we normally did 1 live call a month. We're doing 2 live calls a month. And the way we're working that now is each live call is related to a module in the course. So even if you, and this is what's, again, that spaciousness and refinement thing, is that some people, because it's online, and if you had a lot of time, you can just blow through the course super fast. Some people take their time. Some people want to follow along as we go through the modules. You have the freedom to do that. So if you've already gone ahead, so let's say we're doing a boundary module, the boundary, that live call will be about boundaries, and we'll review things. It's more of a kind of big picture talking. There's going to be room for people to have discussions and questions and answers. So as you move through the online content on your own, some of you, if you've moved ahead, you would review some of the boundary stuff before the boundary call, but it is related to the modules. So yeah, so it's absolutely course related, if that helps answer. Kat, anything else you want to add on that?
No. I think that named it. Yeah, just that every live call, there is a theme within the live call, and that, yeah, it's following the course outline for sure. And I think just to add on, I noticed in the chat somebody asked like about journaling, etc., and assignments. Yeah, yes. But again, like there are a few that are required to be handed in, but not all. So yeah, we're in a certification course there. So there's like opportunity for journaling if you wish. As I just mentioned, there are assignments. There will be opportunity on live calls to teach and to share, to chat, to go to dissect even more what boundaries would mean on a personal level, on a global level, on a body level, of a mind meditation level. So
Yeah.
I just add
Yeah,
that.
and while you're saying that, just while it's fresh on our mind, the teaching, because normally in the live 5-day immersions, people would be teaching in person in the class. So what we'll be doing is having opportunities in the live calls for people to teach in little Zoom rooms. So you're not going to have to teach to the whole group. We would break it up, and then you would do like little 15-minute segments. And this is going to be for people who are already teachers. This is going to be for people who aren't teachers. And if you're hearing this and you're going, oh God, that's scary, and I don't want to teach, I'm out, get me out of this webinar, I don't want to come back. Like, we get it. it's freaky and it can be scary, but this is why we really focus on building beautiful supportive community. This is the vulnerability of teaching online. Even I know some people have no intentions of teaching online, and you're like, what, I'm in this course and now I have to teach a 15-10 minute class in a little Zoom room. I don't, technology, it's all good. We're here to, we have Shannon, our beautiful course admin, who's our technology wizard, and I'm just gonna move a little bit because this beautiful, there. She's here to help guide anybody through technology stuff. So if that feels scary and overwhelming, you've got support for that. But really, it's that there's like, we, in some ways, we don't care how and what you teach. We just want you to show up like we care. We care. But we really want to have you show up in that vulnerability. So there's the yoga of the yoga. So if you're finding, this is what we're talking about, if you're finding that you're scared to teach, well, then we invite you to go, well, why am I scared to teach? What am I, why is this a big stop for me? Like, and then peel back the layers. Like, this is the stuff we're encouraging in this course. Yes, accountability, teach, practice teaching. Even if you've been teaching for 10 years, go in there and comfortably, if this is brand new to you. But again, well, why am I scared to teach? What is it about that? Is it that imposter syndrome? Is it all that other stuff that we've talked about? So the layers of the yoga shows up in all aspects. So yeah, okay. So that, so I hope that answers that, Kimberly. If you have need more detail on that, we're happy to answer, or anybody else. And then the next, Kimberly has another question. Given this discussion, is there additionally recommend reading book club of ancient wisdom text in the course, or is all content? Yeah, we'll be sending out a required reading group or a required reading list. And when I say required, it's in air quotes, but it's, again, it's that sense of like, we really highly encourage you to read these books as best you can. It's not going to be a huge list of things or anything like that. Because again, we want to have that fine balance of time and commitment and learning and life. But we also have one of our guest teachers in the course, Callie Schutt. She's going to be bringing in conversation around the ancient teachings, philosophy, but really contextualized in the modern world, colonialism, appropriation. So bridging ancient teachings and how they got to the modern world and how we work with them now in the modern world. So she will be very likely recommending some books to read on that as well, both the ancient information and wisdom, and maybe some modern contextual stuff like that. So yeah, you'll have a small reading. You'll have little reading list there. And then when you say book club too, we also encourage study groups. We don't organize them ourselves. We want everybody to have their own autonomy. But for those who want to, as we talked about at the very beginning, those in the Netherlands, let's say, if you want to have your own actual real life study group, or last year we had a great little study group going on for people from our Europeans tended to do their own little study group, some of them. So you can do that. And then if you want to have a book club and create something like that on your own, which another fun thing, because that reminds me of from that, the friendships that form, it's like, so that one European study group from last year, they met every Sunday morning and just had this great little, like, just beautiful relationship. And some of them had never even met because they went to different immersions. So some of them had never even met each other in real life, but now they're all lifelong friends. So that's the other little side note about this in terms of community that it just makes me so excited and warms my heart. Kat, anything else you want to add to that? Study groups or?
No. I think affinity or study groups are super helpful, truly. So if that is something that kind of you're curious about or interested in, please do so. And then just also on books, I love the library. So just saying that even though we're going to suggest readings, please don't feel that you have to put any more expenses or out of pocket. Go to the library, sometimes even downloadable ebooks. And then if you are like if it kind of interests you, then maybe buy it. So just to be mindful of that we're going to suggest some that we would love more suggested that maybe at some point you add into your book club, and then there will be some required reading, but really like slow and steady with all of that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, please, you don't need to don't buy your books on Amazon. That'd be a requirement. How about, that's my bias. Like, Jeff Bezos does not need more of your money. Go to your local bookstore and or library. But anyways, but not anyways. That's part. I don't know. That's part of the yoga practice. Where are we spending our money? Okay, so I just saw a question from Jen that I was about to address. So I'm gonna, even though she just, I know there's other questions in the queue, we will answer that. But I just saw Jen's question is right about what I was about to talk about. So Jen says, where does the community meet online? And the live calls, are they at different times on different days to accommodate time difference and work schedules? Yes. So further to the community discussion, we have a community Facebook group that is everybody from all the years all together. So there's not necessarily a separate Facebook group for this year and last year and the previous years. We found that really helpful to have our alumni mix with our current groups because everybody's wonderful and help each other. And that Facebook group is really a great place to ask questions, to have further discussions, and even like teaching tips. Is just a really nice community group. So that's one of the big ones. And again, if you want to have your own sub study groups, then you can meet each other on the Facebook group and then move those into other formats that work for you. So I would say the Facebook group is the main one. I know not everybody is on Facebook, so we've had some people who weren't previously on Facebook who just created like a fake account just to be in the group. So that's a nice thing. We recognize that you don't have to be on Facebook. We don't want to force anybody to be on social media more than they want to be. So meeting then with the live calls and having the connection like that. And then the live calls, yes, because we have an international audience, which means we have lots of different time zones. Kat and I both are in Canada. I'm on the West Coast. She's in Mountain Zone time zone. So if anybody is familiar with those time zones, and if you're in them, yay. And what we try to do each month is rotate the time zones. Regardless of you being in this time zone that works for the call, we also recognize you might have a job schedule. You might, that those times won't work. So regardless of whatever timing we ever do, it won't work for everybody. That's why we rotate them. So some more calls will be in the morning, some calls will be on a night, some calls will be on a Sunday night, some calls will be during the week. So we really spend sometimes more time than I think we need to trying to figure out the sweet spot for where everybody is in the world and the accessibility of that. So knowing that you're not all going to be able to come to each live call, and that's okay. We record them, we put them up in the group. One of my favorite things is that people show, like often, and more often than not, we'll get comments in the live calls after people were saying like, oh, it felt like I was right there. So they're watching the replay and they're saying, oh, it feels like I was right there with everybody live together. Wow. So this is, again, I don't think Kat and I, when we were like, let's do an online teacher training a number of years ago, I don't think we even knew how powerful online learning could still be. So I feel like that's really validating that even watching a live call afterwards, it's still effective and you still feel like you're together.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so Jen, so I hope that helps. Let's go back to, so Kimber Karen says, please touch on the 100% online immersion content, new teachers, and free year in the studio. Okay, so free year in the studio is everybody who signs up for the teacher training, you get a free year in the online studio. If you are already an online studio member, we tack that free year on to the, so whenever your free current year, so if you're a monthly member, you can Shannon will send out an email and give you the details on that of how that works. But basically, if you're a monthly member, you can become yearly. If you're already a yearly member, we have your next, when the year renews, you won't get charged for the following year. If you've never been a part of the online studio, yeah, you get a free year. And we specifically do that, not just as a bonus because we love everybody and we want to have them feel great and the online studio is great, but it's also there as part of the curriculum in the course because there are lessons and movement practices in the course, but we really want you to move your body. We want you to see how these principles and the theories being taught in real life to regular people. And so it's like, see, when we talk, I'm going to go back to boundaries. When we talk about boundaries, then we'll link to some classes in the online studio, or really any of the classes inherently bring in movement boundaries. So you can see how, again, the theory is showing up in your own body. So move your body through the online studio and other things as well. So you don't have to only do the online studio, of course. So there's that. And then where I've lost that question, well, sorry, I'm just kind of lost. It's scrolled up. Was it Jen? Did I see? Yes, Jen. Okay. And oh, weird. It like fully disappeared. Kat, are you able to see anyway, so Jen, somehow, unless I'm Kimberly, Karen, question, Astrid, Kimberly, Jen. I see the Jen, so you were weird. Okay, what was the other one? It was the online studio, and it was how does 100% online work? That's really weird. It literally disappeared in my, so if whoever wrote this, I'm sorry, somehow I'm just scrolling here and I see, oh, there it is. Okay, it's Karen, you had said that. Okay. Please touch on the 100% online immersion content, new teachers, and free year. So free year, the new teachers, we have Callie Schutt, who I had mentioned. She's from the UK and beautiful. Go find her at Rebel Yoga Tribe, I believe, her handle on Instagram. You'll see her link on our info page on the website. She's amazing and wonderful. And then we have Mitzi Wilson, and she's going to be teaching us. She's from the United States, and she's going to be focusing on. She's actually one of our alumni, and she's going to be teaching social justice in a yoga context. And both of them are just really fabulous people who really will help make this course, yeah, extra wonderful. So it's good. But you can read both. So if you want more info on them, just for time, I want to still have, we have more questions. So go read their stuff. They're going to be weaved into the course, and they'll be sharing stuff, recorded videos, and they'll also be leading a live call as well, each of them. Okay, so now the 100% immersion content. So we've just moved what we would do in the immersion, we're weaving that into the course. So in between new recorded material, as well as reforming a little bit how we've been doing the live calls and adding in the extra live calls. So yeah, the only thing we're missing is hugs. Because there's really great hugs and laughter and giggles when we're in the immersions. One last thing with the immersions on that though, we will, when and hopefully at some point soon, the world will go back to normal and we can travel and da 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 da. So whenever that's going to happen, we will be running immersions again. They're not going to be certification related because we're going to obviously do that through the online course, but it's going to be more of our heart and bones community, deeper learning, immersion extravaganza of love. So just know that those will still be a possibility sometime in the near future. We can't tell you when because we don't know what's going to happen in this world. Okay, so there is Karen, those are your thing. And then yes, and then she has another question. Would you explain what opportunities we have for guidance and community interaction? So I think we've covered this a little bit, but community interaction in Facebook and through the live calls, guidance through the live calls. Also, anytime you have questions from a particular lesson, there's a comment box underneath each lesson, and you can leave your questions and you'll see other people's questions and answers that have been down there. Kat and I see these. Kat and I will answer any questions that you have about a lesson through email. And you bring also questions in live calls too, so we can have discussions like this as well. So Kat, did you have anything to add on that? Okay. So thanks for, I always love it when, here we are. I feel like these are monologues, so I really appreciate everybody who's listening, and I hope we are offering you the information that you need. So another question here, Karen, is this an appropriate training for someone who doesn't have a previous certification? Will we have practice teaching? Yes, so we do something in part of our decolonizing effort of changing education, especially within yoga. I'm gonna try to make this short. I don't know where and when and why there's a 200 and 300 hour thing, where that started, how that became the standard, who knows? But we, in our experience as teachers, Kat and I, we found, and then what this course really is about quality over quantity. So we have successfully, in these last couple of years, created a course that is both a 200 and 300 hour training. So we have a variety of people who are newer to teaching. We have people who are highly experienced, and this model works really well. So those of you who are new to teaching, who have never done a 200-hour, you're going to get opportunities to teach, as we mentioned in our live calls. There will be some video recordings of teachings and whatnot at some point during the course. And so, yeah, you're going to definitely have teaching practice and feedback as best we can in this content. So, and then within that, we will encourage and come up with different avenues for you to explore. Okay, now teach a class, go out and teach 5 of your friends or your significant other or your dog, and just like coming up with fun, creative ways just so you can get that teaching practice. So yeah, okay, so let me see if we, So yeah, so it's totally appropriate if you haven't, it's 100%. If you've never done a teacher training, you'll get a 200-hour at the end of this sort of piece of paper. And if you already have a 200-hour, yours will say 300-hour, and it will be great. And there we go. And then, because ultimately we know, like if you're Kat and I still doing courses 20 years later, it's like this one course will never be enough. Just keep learning in that sense. So that's where we're, yeah, doing that. Okay, so I'm just hopefully not skipping through any other questions I see and just scrolling back up. Okay, so now Astrid, do you plan the Zoom calls with people in different time zones? Yes, we've answered that already. Kimberly says, fantastic, awesome. We already did Jen's question. Karen, another one, from Annie Laurie. Lori, my main question is about the lack of immersion and how we'll test it out to make sure we get it and meet some standard for certification. Oh, such a good question. It's two things. I don't know, Kat, do you have something? I've just been blathering on, so you pop in here if you want to have a
Well,
answer
yeah, I
on
think
that.
that's been a main point of discussion with not meeting in person right now. And so I'll just say on a personal level, I was like a little bit trepidatious just because if due to work commitment, time zone, maybe we don't see you regularly on the Zoom calls, right? So it's like, well, I don't know this person. I know here's this name. And so hence why we're having 2 live calls a month, hence why we're having different time zones, hence why we're having breakout teaching, so that we're trying to give as many opportunities from a certification process, as you say, to get it. And for us also to get a feel of you, if that may, I don't know if that's the best way for me to say that. Yeah, so we've talked a lot about that, and here we are, we're trying it, right? Like we're doing the best that we can. Also, both, I would say for both Bree and I, or maybe more for me, used to teaching way more in person than online, that we're doing the best that we can to meet all of those certification requirements in an online form. And so with that, not only do we have the live calls, not only do we have time for you to teach online, you have your homework, there will be a test. There are going to be a little bit of written assignments. We are even going to have PDFs so that for those of us who learn maybe not always memorizing speaking, that there are going to be some handouts. So we're doing the best that we can to give it as full as we can. And may that be enough for all of us to get it. And here we are. I'm just going to say that again. This is also a learning opportunity for Bree and I, putting this 100% online. And a little sadness about right now not having immersion. But we will see you all and meet you all in person one day soon. That's my answer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's I love that question, and I think it's funny because you're making me think of one, and I'm not going to name where and who and what, but I've seen one teacher training and online where I'm like, it just feels like, the 2 main teachers are very much like being presented as the teachers, and we will teach you this stuff, and it's all pre-recorded, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of this connection and dialogue, and I just kind of shake my head at that, and I maybe swear slightly in my head. And then like on the flip side of that, because like for Kat and I, like this is a really interesting world we're in, and actually I just flashed back to pause for a moment because I flashed back to when we first met in the early 2000s, right? Like who would have thought that now, all these years later, where this is like legitimately how a yoga teacher training can be run. And I think so integrity is a big, huge, like part of that heart work for us, and holding this and offering space for people. So I think there's a couple, like let me just try to collect my thoughts on this, because I think there's a couple different ones really popping out. One of the biggest things is we're not going to be able to fully 100%, there's this layer of our integrity as facilitators, showing up for you and offering space and doing the best we can within the online context. And so then there's a reciprocal integrity on the flip side of the person who, we expect you to show up and do the work as best you can in the best ways that you can. So there becomes this mutual sense of trust on that. I also, knock on wood, that we also tend to attract people who aren't just taking advantage of this and being like, yeah, yay, I'm gonna get a yoga teacher training online. I don't have to do anything. Like, so far, we have not met those people and had them. And I think there's more than enough crappy online yoga teacher trainings out there for that type of person to be attracted to and get their piece of paper. So there's that. But then on the flip side, so there's it's not going to be perfect. In a perfect world, we would see each other all the time. But the cool thing is, if we were able to see each other, we wouldn't all be able to be in this training together, because we're all from different parts of the world. So this is that kind of interesting give or take of the conundrum. The beauty of online learning is that actually this is also way more accessible. And the whole point of us even ever doing this teacher training in the first place really truly started, I never thought we were going to do this, but it started because we literally had so many people asking, sending me emails going, do you recommend any teacher training? I live here in this country, I live here in that country. Do you recommend any teacher training that's similar to how, in this more sustainable approach to yoga? And I'm like, no, I don't know anybody who's doing that. And then Kat and I are like, should we do this? Can we do this? Is it okay to do this? I don't know. Let's try. And so it's interesting. So it's like offering this approach and this style and making it accessible around the world. There aren't many other people doing it like this. So that will come at a cost, but then that will also come at a benefit. And so, yeah, I don't, like it's a tricky one. And I think I just, we really truly do our best to make it work within the medium that we have. And will sacrifice for now, this is the world we live in, I'll sacrifice for now the immersions to still offer a training that people want and need and can't get anywhere else, and have this personal connection. Hear me in my backyard, Kat in her house, you at your house, wherever you are. Like, that's actually kind of ridiculously magical that we can do this. So we're co-creating this together. This is that open source yoga. So I hope and we're open to feedback too as it goes on. If you feel like it's like, hey, I actually don't feel like I'm getting enough connection, or I'm worried, it's like, we're here. It's not that other training or those other trainings out there where it's like the teachers are over here. Again, that hierarchical, like, it's online. No. It's like, hello, friends. Okay, so that's the feeling. Okay, so I hope that answers that. Let's go continue here. Questions. Okay, Karen, so I hope that answered that for you, Karen. And yeah. Okay, Martina. So question, I'm assuming correctly that you can start the online learning once you've signed up and before the live calls. Yes. So again, another thing about the glory of online learning, that if you signed up today, you would get access to everything today. So if you were really hardcore and you had so much time right now, you could actually theoretically, you'd have to like finish the course by October. We don't necessarily recommend that, but yeah, you can do this as much as you want, and then review. Like, let's say, okay, the summer I'm free, my work schedule starts up really crazy in September, so I have the time to devote and go through most of the course. And then that's awesome, because then you can go back and revisit some of your favorite lessons, or revisit some of the lessons that didn't make as much sense the first time around, and then correlating with the live calls, and then have that deeper connection. So, and then you can, and this is, again, I love this online, because you can watch the same lessons 10 times. You can watch the live calls 10 times. You can go 2 years later, do a different course that might have similar material, go back to the material of our course and be like, oh, that's what they meant, right? So that's that kind of non-linear approach to learning. Kat, do you have anything else you'd throw down on that? All right. Karen, Yoga Alliance registration. We don't do it. Very, very happily not part of the Yoga Alliance. The short answer for that is it's just a registry. I've been teaching, like I said, since 2003. I've never once been registered for it, haven't bothered. Not once has anybody ever asked me if I'm a Yoga Alliance, like, people have asked me for my certification, but nobody's asked teacher studios. I know that's not always the case in some locations, so I recognize that some of you might be living in places that, you know, studios are all like, oh, if you're not Yoga Lions, that we can't help you with, and I'm sorry. But that's not worth going with the Yoga Alliance for us. We find it's not a governing body. They don't do much. Their scope of practice, their requirements. I've run teacher trainings previously that are Yoga Alliance registered. Me not being the lead teacher because I'm not Yoga Alliance registered, but you know, we've co-taught. They've been, and it was really frustrating to actually try to adhere to their guidelines, because what I know, what works as a yoga teacher and what yoga teachers need in terms of movement and understanding and practice, I couldn't put that in by if we were following the Yoga Alliance guidelines. So, and it's kind of cool because I see this more and more online. More and more people are getting disillusioned. More and more schools are not going with the Yoga Alliance. So that's cool. But yeah, oh, because one of the other things sometimes with the Yoga Alliance, some people think that they need it for insurance. I know for a fact that you don't need it in Canada, the US, and the UK. You can still get insurance with slash without a certification. I just recently changed my insurance, and they didn't ask me for a certification because really they want your money. So it's like, so if you need, so I have a list of insurance providers in the UK, and I can ask some of the people in the US in our group what they've used. If that's your issue, if that's what you feel like you need the Yoga Alliance for is to get insured, that's not true. You don't need Yoga Alliance to get insured. So that's kind of the short little story of Yoga Alliance. It's just our course is beyond what they require. So we're teaching from our experience of what we know, like from being in the field, in the trenches as a yoga teacher for a long time, and sharing that. And Yoga Alliance is just not. So anyways, that's what we feel. Oh, that was the last thing, the point on the Yoga Alliance. But if you still need your designation to teach at a studio, and if you're already if your 200 hour was a Yoga Alliance, then that's great because you already have that. So, okay. Kat, anything on Yoga Alliance on your end?
Hmm?
Anything on Yoga Alliance that you, okay.
No,
All
I
right.
think we touched enough on it, really. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Astrid's saying yes, online makes it more accessible to join and no traveling. Yeah. And I think that's exactly kind of amazing. And so, because even, yeah, not everybody would have been able, even if we had the 5-day immersions, not everybody can have that extra expense of traveling. So I love that this is part of our foundation of making things more accessible. So yay. Okay. So are there any post-grad opportunities that Heart and Bones helps with? Yeah, man, totally. So 100%. That is one of, and I said this already in the conversation. Like that is one of our biggest things. Like I kind of joke, like once you're in, you can never leave. With love, you can leave anytime. But we really like this is like creating community and long-lasting support and community is priceless, and that is one thing for sure. So if you actually look on our website, and I think we link it, so on our page for the description page for the teacher training, you'll see, I know there's so much information on there, so you might have missed it, but there is a link to see the list of some of our grads around the world. Whoever just wanted to be listed can be listed, and you can see where they are. And so that's what we do. So once you're one of our alumni, once you graduate, if you choose to be listed on our worldwide teachers thing, we have that. You have, like I said already, you have access to the course, you have access to updates of the course. For instance, the Modern Yoga Essentials course that I recently put out, that's part of the teacher training. So anybody who's already in the teacher training got that, of course, for free. So there's apps, and then you get, with the yoga studio membership, you get a 25% off like lifetime discount for that as well. Like it's and as time goes on too, and as it grows, I always like, I'm a highly creative person. Ideas run through my mind all the time, so I'm always thinking, trying to come up with like fun new community things for our grads. So just know, once you're in you're in, and you're supported, and we do our best, and we're so open to suggestions and feedback of what you need and what you want, and within our own power can we help accommodate that and help that. And yeah, so it's a beautiful growing work in process, and we're happy to continue to support everybody post grad as best we can. Absolutely. Kat, do you have anything you want to share on grads? Okay.
No, I'm just going to touch on one real quick, Karen. I see
Yeah.
that you just popped up another one. There's one in the Q&A about I have a 200 training completed with this course. Provide me with a 300. Yes, it will. That's how I'm going to answer.
Oh, good. I didn't see that. Thank you, anonymous attendee. Yes. So yeah, and that's what we were saying earlier too, was exactly you will, if you already have a 200, you will be 300, and it will be a beautiful piece of paper that you can frame on your wall or keep in a drawer, whatever
Yeah.
you like. And then Karen has another question. I'm not super techie and I'm scared about the online training. Yes. Is the course process straightforward, and is there help available to figure out the tech if I run into any issues? 100%. So as we mentioned before, Shannon is here. You'll know lots about Shannon once you sign up. Shannon's the go-to person who'll be sending out all the information for our just details for the course. She's here to help people as needed. I know in the past she's even done like Zoom calls with some people who don't feel comfortable with the online, and then just kind of help getting them into it. So we have had technology challenged individuals in the past, and we are here to support that. And so ultimately, it's actually pretty straightforward. It's just if you just you have an account on the website, the course will be there. You just click on the lessons. Super easy. You watch them. You can download the lessons, by the way, so you can have them for life as well. So you can download the lessons not only so you can have them for life, but also so if your internet's not so great all the time, or if you're going away where there's not such great internet, you can download lessons and do them. Some people do it audio as well, so that was kind of interesting to hear last year. We had some feedback. Some people, when in their commute or on car trips, they would download the lessons and then listen to them on audio, or go for walks and listen to them. So you're not always tied to the computer, which I love. And downloading is super simple too and not scary. So you absolutely will be supported technology wise, and it's not super advanced technology wise. If you were able to sign into this Zoom webinar, you are good. Right? So Jen, okay, I see you going on another Zoom call. I know, isn't this the world we live in, right? Zoom call city. So awesome, Jen, to hear you'll be signing up. Yay, can't wait to meet you and see you. And Amanda, thank you for the great webinar. Hop off, thank you. Oh, you're an East fan, yay, BC, yay. Awesome, Amanda. Okay, and that is right at the time. So we're here for the last couple questions anybody has. Now is the time to ask them. Chris says, will the course lessons only be available on the Heart and Bones website with a subscription? Like if the 1 year I chose not to continue the subscription to the website, yes. So the course is separate from the online studio classes. The online studio classes, you have that free year, and if you don't want to continue, that's totally fine. You won't have access to the classes after that, but you will always, once you sign up for the teacher training, it's lifetime. So the movement classes, the lessons that are in the course are yours to keep and download forever. So that absolutely, yeah, it's lifetime. As long as as long as technology exists and the website exists. Astrid, yes, I will email you to answer your questions. I've got that on in the queue. And then another question, does the training cover the businessy stuff? I still love yoga, but I'm completely clueless about the business of it, and we need lots of help with marketing, teaching. 100%. We have specific lessons in the course all about marketing, all about, I meant to talk about this with our course, is like one of the other foundations of it is that we focus on your why. Who am I as a teacher? Who do I want to teach? Why do I want to teach? We spend a lot of time figuring that out because that is your roadmap that will help you throughout the course and throughout your teaching. And one of the parts of the why work is through then looking through the business side of things. And new this year, thank you COVID, we're also adding in a very specific little part of the course about teaching yoga online because this is the world we live in. So we will have not separate because it's part of it, but a new module all about how to teach yoga online, the ins and the outs and the fun parts of that. Because here we are, this is the world. So yes, Karen, you will get businessy support and love and everything like that. So Chris, awesome, thanks, awesome, hooray. Martina, thank you. Fabulous. So again, if you have any last questions, and I know because we kind of allocated an hour for this, that's another one of my personal pet peeves. The live calls do not go over time. we respect time, and we don't make, like that's one of my biggest pet peeves as a person in things. And if like 2 hours later and it was only supposed to be an hour. So if you need to leave, leave, get out of here. We love you. Email us more questions. But I'm still happy to answer a couple more questions here in case. So we'll give it another 30 seconds, minute to write that down. Kat, I was talking this whole time. What else anything else that you want to throw in as we wrap up?
No, no, I think we covered it all, really. Sorry, my morning voice. No, like we tried to make it as well-rounded as we can in this online forum, and we're super excited that so many people came today to the webinar. And you're awesome, and we're awesome, so together we're going to be more awesome. That's what I have to add.
And make the world a more awesome place.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So Karen, you've done the teacher development course. Is your tuition transferable? Yes, you'll be prorated. So anybody who's done the essentials course, if any of you have only bought the essentials, or if any of you have bought the teacher development course, that will be what you paid for those will be deducted from the price. Oh, and new this year, there's a early bird pricing as well. So we wanted to make it, again, because of online and COVID, make it a little more accessible. So there's early bird pricing until the August 15th. Okay, so, ooh, you're totally in, Kimberly. Ooh, how fun. Oh, fun. And again, I know some of you, so ruminate on this, chew on this, go back and reread our FAQ page, reread the information page, read the entire page of all the testimonials of love. Hello, people, that's the best one. So we're really touched and honored by the types of testimonials that people give about this course. So that really always softens my heart. So read those, get inspired. And if you have more questions, like I said, Kat, Shannon, and I are all here. We're real people, again, it's like we try to bridge the gap from online into real as best we can. And it works, and it's kind of magical. And I think that's my favorite feedback from people, is saying like they're surprised, like, who knew? Okay, in a way we could keep talking about this all day, but like I said, I think that's probably it. So our final last people who are still on, thank you for taking an hour out of your day to be here and learn and talk about this with us. I really, honestly, I didn't think anybody would show up. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kat. Nice to see you as always. I look forward to seeing some of you now, as you said you were going to join in our Zoom thing. So instead of it's just this one-way conversation between Kat and I, Ish, and some words on a screen, I look forward to actually seeing some faces on our screens as well, and hearing your voices. And yeah, it's cool. All right. Any last words there, Kat? Okay, beautiful. Okay, team, I'm going to press end as much as I always, virtually every time we do a live call, I'm like, I don't want to hang up. Okay. So there, my button is, I'm going to stop the recording.